what I can say about stable coins and sort of what we've seen in the market is really a lot of people were paying attention to a lot of the scandals in this industry and failures and bankruptcies. But at the same time, we were seeing tremendous progress being made in continued technology development. And this is a little bit like after the dot-com boom and bust, people kind of ignored internet, consumer internet, e-commerce, but actually the technology continued to develop. And so we saw that happen last year. And we've seen stablecoins in particular remain the killer app of blockchain technology and starting to see widening usage all around the world. And so it's been a really powerful time for that. And we think 2024, with things like the spot ETF and more regulatory clarity, is going to open this up even wider.
Jeremy, about the ETF, is there a chance that if this ETF takes off and there's huge demand from the retail investor in particular, that USDC could see a decline in usage? We know there are a portion of USDC used for trading currently, but if people can buy Bitcoin in effectively a wrapper without owning it, does that diminish the case, or have you diversified enough?
Well, generally speaking, my view is that if there's a broadening of participation in digital asset markets, that is going to be the case on a global basis. And already today, if you look at the digital asset industry, it's highly globalized. And in fact, if you look at stablecoin adoption globally, it's highly globalized. And so our view is a growing market and a growing participation in the market is just going to continue to drive more demand for digital dollars on the internet. And so our view is this is definitely a tide that lifts all boats, and actually we think an accelerant to what can happen with USDC.
And in terms of the timing of this IPO, it's come in line with the approval by the SEC of this Bitcoin ETF. Is that what's prompted the filing?
So I can't comment at all about any kind of regulatory filings. I can simply say that we've been very clear that we intend to build a trusted, transparent, well-regulated company, and eventually becoming a public company is part of that. But I really can't make any comment about any regulatory filings.
Just in terms of timing, though, is it the fact that the SEC has approved a Bitcoin ETF? Does that signal to you at all any change of stance from the US regulator, in particular the SEC, towards the broader crypto industry?
You can refer to Chair Gensler's comments for what he thinks it signals or not. I think my view is that there's progress being made in Congress. There's progress being made in terms of the courts looking at the law, and there's progress being made from regulators in every major market in the world. You're seeing progress on stablecoin legislation. Stablecoin laws are going to be on the books in almost every major global financial market in 2024. And so that's a backdrop for growth. And we're excited to be able to continue to invest into that.
Can I tackle the growth story? Because 2023 was an interesting one as we had inflation coming down. We had hopes of a monetary change, and that came from the Fed late last year. What sort of year do we have ahead? If it's a little bit more challenging, we get sticky inflation, we don't get as many rate cuts as the markets now are priced in. How dicey do things look?
So I'm not a global macroeconomist, so I can try. Yeah, I think I look at this as a technologist. And so I'm very, very focused on what are the technical innovations, what are the durable technical innovations, how are those increasing the adoption of the technology. And you have to look through any given monetary cycle to see that. And whether that's the evolution of the internet through many, many different market cycles, the evolution of blockchain technology is through many, many different cycles. And so what I can tell you is that the pace of technology progress is faster than it's ever been. It's compounding. And the ability to, say, take something like USDC, transact globally instantly at a fraction of a cent, all around the world and do that easily, that's upon us. And so my view is technology progress is here. I don't know that the given interest rate environment or inflation environment really changes anything with technology progress.
Jeremy, your industry has advocated for clearer regulation, in particular in the US. You just mentioned that there is more regulation happening across the world, specifically in the US, where the SEC and Chair Gensler's comments were still very much, we don't endorse Bitcoin and many other crypto assets, our securities, etc. What are the chances for some stablecoin regulation this year in the US? We know the Clarity for Payment Stablecoin Act is going through the lawmaking process at the moment. Does this come into force this year, especially as it's an election year?
I think there's a very good chance of that. And I think what you're seeing is a desire from the administration. I think you're seeing a desire from the Treasury, the Fed, but both chambers of Congress and certainly on a bipartisan basis. Dollars and digital dollars are happening around the world. Other governments are regulating dollar digital currencies before the United States. And so I think there is a very strong desire to act and assert U.S. leadership and get the right in protections, consumer protections involved. And so I think there's momentum. And I think there's a very good chance of seeing this pass into law this year.
And just in terms of the broader landscape, a lot of the focus was on some of the settlements, the trials with FTX, with Binance last year, the collapses of 2022 as well. Do you think broadly the problems that we saw over the last 2 years in the industry are over, or are there still some skeletons in the closet?
I mean, I think you still have a lot of the industry in many different parts of the world that aren't regulated, but I think 2024 is the year. As you can see in many jurisdictions, regulations coming online. And so I think going through this year and into next year, you're going to have a very clear regulated market structure, and that's going to increase confidence in the whole space.